Now, this segment's going to be uncomfortable. I'm just warning you. If you've got Clemson children at home, now's the time to send them to do the chores, sweep the porch, whatever. Louisville beat Clemson so much worse than the box score indicates last night. 33-21 was the final. Straight up, this is the most jarring thing I saw yesterday. I'd give it a 2.5 on the Chalai rating system. Good for Louisville. The rule around here, we talk about the winners first. They tell you stats don't lie. Casuals will say that to you. Stats don't lie, man. Well, casuals are lying to you when they say stats don't lie. Because I need you to completely ignore the box score on this game. Clemson got dog-walked. Clemson was coming off a bye, facing an opponent playing their 7th game in 7 weeks, facing an opponent playing their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. You got a roster advantage, but what you didn't have is a coaching advantage. And what you didn't have is a motivation advantage. And Louisville just came out there, they just worked you. They just worked Clemson like I don't think I've seen Clemson worked in a long time. They just took a baseball bat to them all night. I know the score looks semi-close. The box score doesn't look terrible. This was an extremely lopsided game. Jeff Brom has now locked down his 5th win versus top 12 teams since 2018. We said in April, I think, and we raised some eyebrows with it. I told you we've got Brom as like a top 5 head coach in the country. He's easily the most underrated head coach in the country. He's just been at Purdue and Louisville. And so no one really pays attention. And, I mean, what more do you need to see from him? And then you think about some other teams we're talking about and their abysmal record against top 10 competition, top 15 competition. Brom says, I got no problem. I don't need to recruit top 10 classes either. Just, give me some players and just give me a puncher's chance and I'll land it. And he landed it again and again and again last night. The thing about it is, if you watch this game, you know it could have been worse. Louisville had to settle for a bunch of field goals. I think they missed one. Could have been worse. Isaac Brown, man, I hope that tailback gets some more love. He had 151 and a touchdown last night. They just, 7.6 yards per carry, by the way. They just worked him. Louisville just worked them. And so the story was not Louisville to me. I give you all the credit in the world, and their losses, by the way, are to Miami, SMU, and Notre Dame, each of them by 1 possession. Louisville and Ole Miss are the most underrated teams in the country right now to me. We'll talk about the AP poll later in the show. But before we do that, I've heard her tuning up over here. And it sounds right, and she always does. Ladies and gentlemen, as if there was any doubt, the Sarah McLachlan special, Louisville over Clemson. And I want to take you to a specific point in this game. Clemson is down 19 late in the 3rd quarter. And they choose to hit the brakes totally. 13 play, 6-minute drive. They then attempt a field goal, down 19 inside the 10, blocked again. Not even the first time that night. A little bit later, 11 minutes left. A 16-play drive, melting the clock like an ice cream cone in July. They're huddling. There's no urgency. They get the touchdown. So then they're only down 13. What does the chart say? Apparently Clemson's chart says kick the extra point. Because being down 12 is way better than being down 13. Why would we want to be down 11? What mathematic advantage does that give us? It was really good work. If it were a spring game, I watched this and said to myself, this feels like a spring game. It's not. It's week 10. They looked so discombobulated and unprepared to play last night. And to his credit, Dabo said in the postgame, they basically did a disservice to the team by not having them prepared to play. And he's right. Now, it is classic PR in that they will advise you, they won't chase you if you don't run. That's why the really smart coaches, when they get beat, they're the first ones to step to the podium and say, we got outcoached, we got outcoached, we got outcoached. Because the human psychology is, oh, well, he's admitting it, so I guess we don't have to throw him under the bus. No, you're getting thrown under the bus because you absolutely did. And you had no excuse for it. Here's why last night's going to matter a lot. I felt like when I was watching that I was watching more than just a loss. I want to be really respectful with how I put this because I don't do this stuff a lot. But I feel what I feel about last night. So I think last night did permanent damage to Dabo Swinney at Clemson. It felt like there were probably some things in motion before last night, that got exposed because of last night that they won't be able to reverse. Like, their stadium went from being a place where no one's won at night since 2013 to being a place that was emptying out during the fourth quarter. I need you to understand how jarring that is to everyone involved. You don't see it. It just doesn't happen. Louisville went in there and just stomped them. It was so emphatic that here's the problem. Clemson folks are proud. They're a proud fan base. Last night's going to matter so much because of the duality of how Clemson fans have handled this recently. They stand up for Dabo Swinney. They stand up for the program exactly as they should. But that doesn't mean they haven't had doubts, but they've kept it internal. Clemson fans will talk amongst themselves about how maybe they question a little bit Dabo's resistance to the portal, and they'll question this, they'll question that, but publicly, they'll ride for him because they don't appreciate how folks come after him, sometimes unfairly, which I agree with. So I'll defend him on this show when I think folks have come after him unfairly. But last night was so incontrovertible. It was such a baseball bat to the face, they can't deny it anymore. Like the concerns they've had behind closed doors, the door got kicked down, is basically what I'm saying. And so that'll be out in the open now. And they may finish the season okay, but you're not going back. You're just not going back. It is not going to work. Clemson football, from this point forward, is on a trajectory that is headed the opposite direction of where you hope it heads. And it will never be terrible. It's not what I'm talking about. It's not where they're headed. But there is a standard that, to his credit, to his supreme credit, there is a standard that Dabo Swinney established at Clemson. And because of the way the sport has changed around him, and because of his not inability, but unwillingness to adjust with it, which is his choice, they are not able to meet that standard anymore. And so this is Clemson football now. They got 4 games left. I don't care if they win all 4 of them. I don't care if they lose 3 of the 4. What I'm saying is true, and you watch, and you see, you listen to Clemson folks now. And I guarantee you they will sound different. I know many of them. I'm not just talking to hear myself talk. I know many of you, and I know how many minds were changed last night from being willing to silently criticize behind closed doors to saying, nope, this ain't going to work anymore. Last night wasn't close. It wasn't you turned the ball over 3 or 4 times and it was a fluke, freakish outcome. You got owned by a team that has no business treating you like that. You got owned, and to be honest, a lot of it is preventable and well within the rules to do. And you've chosen not to do it. You couldn't push the ball down the field to save your life last night because you don't have difference-making players. You know you don't. And the reason you don't is because you hadn't got them out of high school, you hadn't developed them there, and you haven't gone elsewhere to get them, even though the talent acquisition mechanisms to do that are afforded to you now. You've chosen not to do it, and it's not going to work anymore. So I don't think those folks are happy enough with that being Clemson football because of the standard that you have set there. I don't say that sarcastically. I say that with all due credit. Dabo Swinney is a legend. He will always be a legend in this sport. But they are not going back to what they were unless they change things about that program. And I don't know if I would ever say last night was a favor that was done to them. It's never a favor when someone pantses you in your own building like that. But at least it provided clarity. You know, at least there's no more holdout. There's no more let's wait and see. There's no more waiting and seeing. We waited, we saw. That's Clemson football now.